With bags, there are so many different ways that you can install a zip, but for a standard straightforward bag, this is the most simple way to do it. At the top of my bag is 37 centimeters, and I want to put my zip in here, and then the other panel will come off here. I say 37. There's got to be a seam allowance down either side for my side seams of the bag. And I find that 1.5 centimeters or 15 mil, I work in centimeters and mil, sorry to all you people who use inches. We will go 37, take away 1.5, 1.5, was 34 centimeters for the total length of my zip. Matching leather for the bag. This needs to be as thin as you can possibly get it. So we skiver, super sharp, watch your fingers. I'm going to skive this off. It's going to be folded once to give us a rolled edge on top and then once underneath. And then we're going to trim that in half. It's a bit of pain. That on there. Onto. Go like this. This is like a chalk pencil, but it's slightly more like greasy and soft. Fantastic for leather work because you can mark your leather and it rubs off at the end. Also great for marking on zippers and things because it shows up when you have black tape. So I've measured 1 centimeter from the end of my zipper pull to the end of my tape. I've trimmed it off and then I've singed it with a lighter to stop this from fraying. And we lay this across. Like so. Make sure that that's as straight as we can get it. Fold about 1 centimeter across and it looks even along the end of that zipper, and then I'm going to stitch along here. And the excess on here we're going to trim back with the scissors. We're going to measure along here to 34 because that was our total and we need to remember that. A little mark here and a little mark there. Through like that. Before we do anything else, I'm going to singe that because we don't want it fraying and making a mess. Where some of the tips and tricks come into it. So for metal teeth, they are strong. Side cutters, these are old. I've used them for probably like 10 years. But you want side cutters that are sharp. You can get a little tool that does this, but I've tried it and it takes me ages and you actually don't need it. So we're going to pull this just a little bit. I'm going to split that zip. For the teeth, there is a bit that wraps around a little sort of tubed area on the tape, and then the tooth that comes off, if you can see that. So all we're aiming to do to start with is to cut off that little bit that sits to the edge of the tape. And we're going to do about 4. We want about 1 centimeter through here. Okay, some of them will come off by themselves, but the ones that don't, we turn it on the side. We sit like this and we squeeze. And they just pop off without damaging this tape underneath. That's really important. Turn it over. About 4 on this side too. Turn it on the side. So you don't need the specialist tool to take teeth off. Just go like this. Okay, so then we're going to jam that back together. Get that one in. Like that. And we're just going to measure and see. And we're 1 centimeter off. Exactly the same way as the other end. So that we have a 34 centimeter zip with 2 leather zip tabs. And you can sometimes put this over this first tooth because you're not going to hit that when you sew because your seam allowance, and it just gives it a little bit more leeway if that bit of the tab does pull up when you unzip it. So like this, fold it over again, make sure that bit's straight and that it's about 1 centimeter, which is pretty spot on. So then we're going to stitch that again, and then it's time to put it into the bag. I've run a line of tape along here, and I'm just going to sit my panels like this so that I can make sure that my zipper is going in the right way, because when you put a zip on a bag, if you have external pockets as well as internal pockets, your zippers should always be running the same way for opening and closing. And also the front of your bag, which is facing out when you wear it on your shoulder, you want the zipper tab to be at the top, so that when you unzip, this is your body, this is your bag, you want it so you're pulling it backwards to unzip your bag, because that's the most natural, easiest direction to be unzipping. Attaching the zipper to this front panel, get the gel pen, and we're going to measure in 1.5 here and 1.5 here. On a zipper tape, is it going to focus? When you look, there is different woven lines of how the tape is made. You can get a little jig that you can use to make sure it's straight, but it's not really needed. You can just look on here, and there's actually a line that runs through. And if you line your panel up with this, it'll be even and your zipper will be straight the whole way down the bag. So make sure that the edge of this panel lines up with that line on the zipper. You don't want to put this too close to the teeth either, because it means that opening and closing it will snag and it will damage the leather. Let's get up really close and personal and double check that. This is where tape is really good, because you can reposition as needed. So all of our zips are the same way. That's even between here and here, so that the pocket sits straight inside, and then we're going to sew all the way down there. I want to make sure that the pocket lining is not tucked beneath, because the last thing you want to do is catch that on the seam. So what we're going to do, fold this up so that it's out of the way. Chuck a couple of clips on it. Oh, that one's broken, that'll work. Right. We fold this panel that we've just sewn back on itself, lay it down, roll this up a wee bit. Whack a clip on there to keep it out of the way. I'm going to go stitch that on the machine. That is the most straightforward way to add a zipper into the top of a bag. It gives you a beautiful finish every time on this side, and then also on the inside for your lining it gives you a beautiful finish as well. So this is ready to have its straps and things added on, and then I can close up this bag and turn it out and it'll be ready to go.